The Ashen Rose, Chapter 3. Whispers in the smoke. The secret passage behind the sarcophagus was narrow and cold, the stone walls slick with moisture. Rowan moved ahead of Evelyne, torch in one hand, dagger in the other. The singing had ceased, but the silence that replaced it was worse, a thick, suffocating quiet that hummed in the bones. The corridor opened into a domed chamber, older than the crypt, with carvings that defied time. Spirals, constellations, and unfamiliar runes coiled along the walls. A flame small and flickering rose from the center, dancing without fuel, casting light where none should be. Rowan stepped back, instincts flaring. At its center stood a stone pedestal, and atop it, a brazier filled with blackened ash. Images flashed before her eyes: a weeping queen, a sword plunged into a river of stars, a rose blooming from ash. Rowan approached cautiously. This was no burial chamber. No, Evelyne whispered. It was a sanctum. She stepped forward, drawn to the brazier. As she reached toward it, the ashes stirred. But Evelyne was transfixed. The flame pulsed as if in rhythm with her heartbeat, and she could feel something within her shift like a curtain drawn back inside her mind. This relic, the Ember Heart, it's not just a stone, it's a fragment of something older, a key. Then the flame vanished, and she stumbled backward into Rowan's arms. "What did you see?" he asked. "Not see," she breathed. "Remember." She looked at him, eyes wide with understanding. To what? But before she could answer, a sound echoed through the passage they'd come from. Boots. He grabbed Evelyne's hand and pulled her into the shadows. Not one pair, many. Rowan extinguished the torch. Voices now, low, clipped. "They've been here." The hatch was open. "Orders are clear. We take the girl. Kill the rest." Steel rang as swords were drawn. He had no illusions about the odds, but he could buy her time. Rowan struck swiftly, slicing across the man's thigh before slamming his head into the wall. Another came. Rowan ducked under the sword, drove his dagger into the man's side, and used his body as a shield. Another to the ribs drove the breath from his lungs. He dropped to one knee. Hands gripped his shoulders. A boot crushed his sword hand. Evelyne whispered, "How did they find us so quickly?" She emerged into a cellar, pushed aside a barrel, and burst into the manor's kitchen. "Someone's watching the manor," Rowan growled. "We need to move." He looked around and spotted a ventilation shaft in the wall, barely large enough for one person. "Through there. Go." "I won't leave you. You won't help me by dying." "Go." She hesitated, then squeezed his hand once and slipped into the shaft. "Then the king suspects what lies beneath Marnay." Rowan turned to face the corridor, dagger ready. "They knew where to find us. They want the Ember Heart." The first attacker appeared around the corner mast, armored in black leather, but there were too many. A blow to the head staggered him. "The girl is gone." "But this one will bleed answers." "Enough," growled a voice. Evelyne crawled through the shaft, every heartbeat echoing in her ears. If the Ember Heart has awakened, the Brotherhood will rally, but they must be warned. The servants scattered. "My lady, they've taken Rowan," she said breathlessly. "Sound no alarm, lock the gates, and fetch Father Alaric." Moments later, the old monk entered, robes trailing, eyes sharp. "They're here already, aren't they?" he asked. Evelyne nodded. Father Alaric's expression darkened. "He'll destroy us all." "Unless," said the priest, "we finish what your father began. Not of England, but of what lay beneath it." He opened a leather satchel and produced a scroll, a map, built by the old ones, leading to the Abbey of Cindergate. "Tunnels," he said. Evelyne looked toward the smoke rising faintly beyond the trees. Rowan had bought her time. She would not waste it. "I'll go," she said. "No, it's too dangerous. That's why I must." And with that, she donned a traveling cloak, tucked the Ember Heart scroll into her satchel, and slipped into the forest. Somewhere behind her, Rowan was bleeding in the dark. And somewhere ahead, the war for the Ashen Rose had already begun. End of Chapter 3.